Have you ever wondered how people become these full-blown developers, these people who are building hundreds and thousands of single-family homes and big multifamily units and these mixed units apartments? Well, I have too. And if you're following along my journey into buying my first lot. And quite frankly, I am not an experienced developer. I'm not in construction by any means. That my W-2 does work with a bunch of different people in those trades. But when it comes to knowing it myself, I don't know much, but I know a little bit. And I hope you enjoy this video of me talking about the missing middle housing, which is something I want to focus on. So, first and foremost, why am I talking about the missing middle housing? Well, if you follow along, you've realized that I am literally giving you the raw footage of what I'm doing to try to get my first lot. The issue is there's a lot of land for sale, quite frankly. And the land that's on the market is typically overpriced. And when it comes to where I want to buy, I know the areas I want to buy, right? I talked about Polk County, Florida. I talked about Davenport, Lakeland, Winter Haven, but that is still a broad area. So how can I continue to get narrower and narrower and narrower where I can focus on one thing where if the right opportunity comes, I can go and grab it. Right now, I'm all over the place. I'm doing flips, I got some multifamily units, and I'm looking for development. And those are three buckets that I think I'll always do. However, if I'm going to be focusing on getting this lot, I'm going to be focused on becoming a developer, I have to lock in. And that's where the missing middle housing comes in. And I am currently reading the book. I have it right here called Missing Middle Housing. And it's, honestly, I'm about almost halfway through it, but it makes a lot of sense, right? And what is the missing middle housing? Well, I am here to show you because we see it almost every day and we probably just don't realize it. And that's okay because, it really doesn't mean much for most people unless you're focusing on it like I am. So the missing middle housing is basically the houses and the properties in between single family homes, detached single family homes, as well as mid rises. So I'm going to share my screen here. Share screen. Boom, boom. So why now, Emeka? Why am I focused on this now? It's mainly because there is a lot for sale that I saw that I looked at, and it was in the city limits, and it qualified for all these incentives, and it got impact fees waived, etc. Like there was just so much goodness when it comes to this lot, when it comes to what the city wants and what they're willing to give me and help me out for to build on this property. And it fascinated me, right? If you know what the CRA is, the Community Redevelopment Agency, there's typically in every major, major, minor, whatever you want to call it, but most cities have a CRA, and what that is typically incentives to make certain areas better. They're trying to revive these areas in order to increase density, to make cities more walkable, bikeable, and also to help with the affordable housing. So what you're looking at on my screen right now is what America is good at is detached single family homes. Think of the Pulte homes, think of the DR Hortons, the KB homes, right? These major developers who are building massive subdivisions, and those are for typically, the middle class, roughly the middle class to higher end class, because you can build a bunch of tract homes. It's outside of city limits, probably a little bit less restrictions than city limits, and that's what we are good at. I don't have the statistics, and maybe I'll put it in the notes. Maybe I'll drop some links that will help. However, that's that's great, but that was mainly for baby boomers. If you read the book, you'll learn more. But basically, baby boomers were one income households where it could handle most people. You had a bunch of different businesses like in manufacturing, like the Henry Fords, where you needed these subdivisions and all these houses to help out with the jobs as well as build communities, HOAs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the missing middle is the duplexes all the way up to triplex stacked, live work. You can read it as you see, the cottage courts. And the reason why this is important is because typically they're in city limits. And typically these are things that a lot of people aren't building. And the reason why this is important for cities is because they want, cities want the the city, the area to be walkable and bikeable. And if that is the case, you don't need as many cars, you're not polluting the earth as much. And the list kind of goes on to why. But people aren't really building mass duplexes, mass triplexes. And what kind of defines what a missing middle housing is it's basically, it almost has the same footprint as a regular home, right? So it's no more than 2 to 3 stories. It's almost roughly the size of a home, a detached single family home. And also, it's typically more affordable, and that is the sweet spot. If you know me at all, if you heard my story, I grew up, I was homeless at one point. I moved from point A to point B. I believe from elementary school to high school, I moved over a dozen times. And that's just because we were poor, period. We were poor. We were in poverty. It sucked. At one point, we didn't have a car. My mom was literally walking 5 miles to the library to look for a job, right? Me growing up, it was not an ideal situation for a kid. Granted, I didn't know how bad it was until I am obviously, 29 years old now, looking back in the past. But this missing middle helps with the affordable crisis, right? Because you're able to build a duplex almost the same price as a single family home, right? Because I told you the footprint's the same. But you're able to build this at the same price or near the same price and get more out of it with rent or even selling, right? You can build a quadplex, get the same financing as a single family home when it comes to selling, right? I'm not talking about like a construction loan. But if I were to build a quadplex and sell it, you can still sell it to someone who's in that missing middle income, right? Because they can get a 3% down payment from FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and live in one and rent out the other. We are able to help build wealth, and helping build wealth for others is one of the reasons that I really like this idea. Yes, I do want to rent out a lot of stuff, but I don't plan on renting out everything I develop. So this episode is basically me expressing missing middle housing, and that will be my focus, right? There's a lot of things to look into, but missing middle fits me because I grew up poor, and affordable housing means something to me. I won't always build affordable housing every single time, but if I can figure out a way to build affordable housing where the numbers make sense, I can rent out to people who need it the most, I can sell it to people who want to build wealth. I love that idea because yes, I am here to make money, but there's a bigger purpose. Money is not everything. Money is by far from everything. So developing missing middle seems to just connect with me. And it all got sparked because I bought a lot. I didn't buy a lot, but I made an offer on a lot, and it hit all the criteria that I needed. All the criteria. And it opened my eyes and made me understand that yes, this right here is what I'm going to focus on. This right here is going to help put the shades on to all the shiny objects around me. Yes, I still need cash. Yes, flips may still be in the picture. Yes, multifamily will still be in the picture. But multifamily is going to slowly become more passive for me, where I have a bunch of people I trust that I'll just give money to and help with little ins and outs. Flips, I'm just going to focus on that for the easy flips, not too complex, where I have my partners, my vendors, everything in place, where I can just crunch the numbers, trust the people, get it done. But I need that cash to develop because developing is front heavy with cash. So on this journey, you just realize you're seeing firsthand, this is me very passionate right now. Missing middle housing is what I'm going after. That's what I'm going after. That's what I'm shooting for. And that will be what I will be developing. Thanks for following along this journey. Until the next video.